Nigeria, the most populous nation in Africa with nearly 200 million people, has a variety of spoken languages, including the third largest English-speaking population on earth. It has a long history stretching back to the oldest identified civilization in West Africa, known today as the Nok culture. They were master sculptors in a variety of materials, ranging from terracotta to bronze. The Nok were centuries ahead of their neighbors and were smelting iron weapons by at least 550 BC and perhaps as early as 1000 BC. This enabled the Nok to hold influence over an area northeast of Niger River, as large as modern-day France. Although little is known about the Nok, their trade routes exporting bronze and gold reached all the way to Western Europe. Unfortunately, since the 1970s, there has been a large amount of looting of Nok sites. In the 1990s, some crews employed over 1,000 diggers each day, with Nok sculptures showing up in Europe, the US, and Japan. The Nok disappeared as mysteriously as they arrived. However, their knowledge and sophisticated metallurgy and mining techniques were passed down to successor civilizations. The powerful Yoruba city of Ife would perfect casting techniques, creating realistic portraits of their nobles and leaders that have served to this day. The sophisticated level of realism captured in metal, not seen since the classical world, would not be matched elsewhere until the Italian Renaissance. Ife was ruled by an Oni, a line of divine kings said to be descendants from a god. The last prince of the Yoruba city of Ife would found the Oyo kingdom, which reached its height around 1400 and maintained long-distance trading routes, protected by the kingdom's formidable cavalry force. To the southwest, the Edo people of the Empire of Benin also learned metallurgy techniques from Ife and constructed one of the most impressive feats of engineering, the largest earthenware structure ever erected, the walls of Benin, which includes an area of over 2,500 square miles. In all, over 9,000 miles of walls comprise this mega structure. Combined with their formidable military, it is no wonder why the kingdom of Benin were incredibly stable and prosperous over such a long period of time. To the north of Edo, according to the legend, was a kingdom ruled by a line of female queens, one of whom married an adventuring hero of Baghdad in modern-day Iraq. Their sons would rule over a collection of powerful city-states. Over the centuries, Hausa lands would unite for short periods of time. However, squabbling and intrigue were the norm throughout this period. They maintained amicable relations with the Mali Empire, the economic competitor to the northwest, as many Islamic clerics migrated from Mali to join the court of the Islamic urban elite of the Hausa kingdoms. The Igbo kingdom of Niri was ruled by a priest king and expanded its territory by sending converts to spread their faith in surrounding cities and towns. The kingdom reached its farthest extent between 1100s and 1400s. Encroached upon by the rise of Benin and later the Atlantic slave trade, it appears to have maintained its authority well into the 16th century, and remnants of the religious hierarchy persisted until the establishment of colonial Nigeria. Jukun and Igala were two other formidable kingdoms that arose in the 14th century, and by the 16th century, Igala was waging war on the kingdom of Nupe, challenging their long-time supremacy and commercial trade in the region. With the arrival of the Portuguese, they became involved in the inception of the transatlantic slave trade. From the 1500s and through the 1800s, many of the kingdoms in this region became extremely wealthy through the trade in precious metals and slaves. However, as the abolition of slave trade became widespread throughout the Western world, these fortunes began to stagnate. In 1804, the Sokoto Caliphate would conquer and unite the Hausa kingdoms. At its height, the Caliphate linked over 30 different emirates and was populated by over 10 million people, forming the most powerful state in the region. In its conquest, it captured approximately 2.5 million non-Muslim slaves, whom they put to work on large plantations and heavily incentivized to convert to Islam for a more comfortable life. In 1851, under the pretext of ending the slave trade in the Kingdom of Lagos, the British bombarded the city and installed the ruler they favored. 10 years later, they annexed the city in 1861, establishing the Crown Colony of Lagos. Lagos has been a prosperous commercial center ever since. The Royal Niger Company was established in 1879 to administer the region, and by 1900, it had conquered all of southern Nigeria, destroying much of the feeble walls of Benin. The company was disestablished that same year, and the Protectorate of Southern Nigeria was established. The conquest of the Sokoto Empire began in 1900, and by 1903, all of modern-day Nigeria was under British control. The colony and protectorate of Nigeria lasted for 46 years and was governed through a system called indirect rule, where regional emirs and local rulers were given wide authority as long as the colonial government was allowed to conduct its business and gather taxation. In 1960, the First Republic of Nigeria obtained its independence from the British Empire, which was weakened after fighting the Second World War. In 1967, the Republic of Biafra was declared in the southeast of Nigeria, fueled by the persecution of the Igbos living in northern Nigeria. Control over the lucrative oil production in the Niger Delta played a major role in fueling this conflict. The civil war resulted in over 150,000 soldiers killed and millions displaced. The war initiated a series of military leaders ruling Nigeria, lasting after the civil war had ended with the United Nigeria. Following the assassination of General Murtala Mohammed, his successor initiated the process of disestablishing military rule and bringing back a republic. This republic was short-lived, lasting from 1979 to 1983, when it was overthrown throne again. After 8 years of rule by General Ibrahim Babangida, he re-established a democracy that lasted for less than a year, which was overthrown by General Sani Abacha. Abacha died mysteriously and was buried without an autopsy. The successor again re-established a democracy that had lasted to the current day. This has been Epimetheus, and I hope you enjoyed the overview of Nigerian history. Don't forget to like, hit the bell icon to get notifications every time we make a new video, and subscribe.